Thanks for listening to Baxie's Musical Podcast. If you like what you hear today, be sure to like it, share it, tell all your friends about it, and give it a big fat review. You can also follow the show on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for regular updates on future guests. Today, we're brought to you by Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee. Stop by their state-of-the-art dealership next to BJ's in Big Y on Memorial Drive, or go to metrojeep.com and make it Metro. And then drive home in your new Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram today.
It's Baxie's Musical Podcast.
There are times when it's taken me all of a few short seconds to be completely moved by the power and rawness of somebody's voice. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, and the hairs on the back of my neck stand straight up and the goosebumps begin to form, and I find this visceral connection between the performance I'm listening to and what's actually being said in the music, that's something pretty special. When you can hear the emotion or the pain that goes into every syllable that's being sung, when the message of that music touches you emotionally or spiritually, when it inspires you to listen to more of it, with all its heartbreak and sorrow, that's an unbelievably rare gift to share. At its best, music can sometimes be that way. Music doesn't always have to be happy. Music can also be about connecting to something that can be indefinable. Sometimes music is about loss and grief and struggle, which is very human and something that we all deal with from time to time throughout our lives. But to have the ability to take real-life hardship and reflect that in your music in a way that is totally sincere and in the moment, I don't think words really do that kind of thing justice. Last month, singer Jacob Augustine released an album that has taken him more than a decade to complete. The name of the album is called I'll Love You Forever. It is a ridiculously powerful record that frankly had me speechless the first time I heard it. The reason this album took so long to complete is because Jacob had become the live-in caregiver for his grandmother who suffered from Alzheimer's. At the same time, Jacob's mother was diagnosed with advanced breast cancer. In the midst of this, Jacob found himself retreating into a pretty dark place, choosing to take on a nomadic existence, not just in his hometown state of Maine, but also in Philadelphia, then throughout Europe, busking the streets and living in hostels, tirelessly searching for ways to put himself back together emotionally. What you hear in this album is every shred of sorrow and heartbreak, every brush with darkness and pain, every bit of sadness and reflection. It's brutal, but brilliant. And despite what you may think, it's exceedingly rare. Jacob's album, I Will Love You Forever, completely took me by surprise. I just didn't see it coming, and I couldn't get enough of it once I did. And so it's a real honor not only to speak with Jacob Augustine, it's also an honor to play a small part of introducing you to his music. This is my conversation with Jacob Augustine on Baxie's Musical Podcast.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Awesome. First of all, I just want to say this. You know, I've had the chance to marinate with the record a little bit, and I can probably count on one hand when I've listened to an entire record all the way through, and I found myself completely speechless by what I had just heard. I mean, I think the only word that came out of my mouth at the end of it was "wow." I mean, this record is so amazing to me, and I want to thank you for taking the time to talk about it, because there's something really profoundly special about what you've created here, and I want to thank you for doing it. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for saying that. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's so unusual about this record for me, personally, isn't just merely about what you're singing about, although I realize it's 95% of what the record is all about. I think the thing that is so impactful is the performance itself. I mean, there's a sincerity and a vulnerability in your voice that is such a rare gift, and then to combine it with arrangements that show such restraint and sensitivity and space and breath. I mean, how hard was that to pull off? Matching the sentiment of what you're trying to sing about, and combining it with the performance that makes it come alive.
It was not, I would say, incredibly challenging to pull off. It's just kind of a natural. It was more natural than it was work, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, a letting go of things, I think, was helpful with that. I had also played with the voice quite a bit, so we had dynamics as kind of a big part of what we do. So it takes a lot of time to play songs a lot to get the ebbs and the flows and the draws on the one and the
Yeah.
when you're bringing it through the ceiling and when you're bringing it all the way down or when you're adding another count or two or but it all came really organically just from time, just spending time and
Yeah. I mean, I know a
yeah.
lot of artists sometimes do have difficulty trying to get out what is inside of them and get it recorded because they sometimes either get in their own way or there's I don't know if it's like a psychological complication where you build up barriers emotionally anyway, and that to purge yourself of this stuff, it just the way it comes out is like the floodgates were coming out of you, and that's remarkable that you were able to do it that way.
Thank you. Yeah, that's super super accurate. Really, that's what my writing process is. It's what it's always been too. So I've just always had that kind of switch. Even when I was really young, I started writing songs immediately when I was about 13 years old. And as soon as I learned a few notes and a few chords, I immediately started writing. And I don't know. I feel like maybe I just needed it so badly that it was a real natural thing to be able to flip that switch and let it all flow out. And
Especially what you would, where you were at this point when you're starting to put these songs together. I mean, you're talking about a really difficult period in your life where you're trying to reconcile all these difficult, tragic situations around you, starting with your grandmother who's struggled with dementia. I mean, many of us have
yeah,
had to deal with that in our own families too, but I mean, you were the primary caregiver for a period of time for your grandmother. I mean, tell me about the responsibility of that. That's an enormous thing to take on.
it's heavy. It's really, really, really heavy, man. Extremely challenging I think for anyone to take care of someone who's dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's disease is a really difficult task in general. But when you're taking care of your own loved one, your grandmother, it's a completely different level it's just such a challenge. I wasn't even I wasn't even Jacob. In my grandmother's house, I was the man who lives in her house. That's what she knew me as. So
Right.
just having just having that dynamic with Graham, someone you've loved your whole life and you've known for your whole life, um, that alone makes it really hard and challenging, and there's a lot of pressure and a lot of discipline too. It takes a
Sure.
lot of discipline and self control when you're caring for someone like that, who's dealing with that kind of thing, who you love so much, because you want to bring them back to what they remember, and you know you want them to remember the picture of them with their husband or whatever's going on, but you really have to live in their world with them,
Yeah.
and that's challenging.
It,
If the sky's purple, then the sky's purple. You don't sit there and try to argue with someone who has dementia that the sky's blue. So this
it,
anonymous guy in this home, and to have the responsibility of caring for someone, that's hard too. I was a bit younger then, so it was a lot to take on, but I'm really
sure.
glad that I did. And she taught me a lot too. She actually taught me a lot about music. She listened to Hank Sr. a ton and Patsy Cline and music like that. And I never listened to that a ton until I lived with Graham. And then,
Mm.
so I got like a first class education on country music from Graham, because that's all that would bring her out of her sundowns, and that would help her through her day. And we go get an ice cream and she'd be beating on the dashboard, uh, getting riled up to old Hank Sr. and stuff like that. And
Yeah, it's interesting
it's,
how music tends to do that. We've seen plenty of studies about music and connection and memory, and how there's something about music that, well, it's not foolproof. The connection that people feel is more visceral sometimes than just purely about memory. Like they can remember their favorite songs. They can remember what it, at least what it feels like to hear that song again. They may not remember faces or names or places, but they for whatever reason music tends to touch something inside of them. And it's remarkable how the brain operates that way when it's failing and struggling to keep things clear.
yeah, it's miraculous, man. It's
Yeah.
like the peace that can wash over someone struggling just from the music coming into their mind, and they're back in that moment. Um, After Graham passed, I went on to sing in nursing homes for a pretty long time. I started doing all that. I started covering all those songs and playing them. And yeah, you would people would be completely asleep. They would be gone. There was a woman at one spot in Bangor where the activities director came up and said, "You see that woman over there?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "That woman hasn't spoken one word for 2.5 years."
Wow.
And then she just started singing, "Hey, good looking, what you got cooking?" And yeah, it's amazing that it's mysterious too. But yeah, it's how the music is the last thing to go. Maybe that's a sign that the universe does love us a little bit, because what else could give someone relief when they're in that kind of torment? This void, basically, you're in this void of fear. What a gift to be able to just simply put a song on, and then they're not in that void of fear
Yeah.
anymore. You know?
I'm not sure exactly how the timeline plays out here, but in the midst of this, while you're caretaking for your grandmother, your mom gets diagnosed with breast cancer. So now all of a sudden you're being hit on two sides, and that's a lot to absorb individually. Dealing with both situations at the same time, it sounds incredibly overwhelming, especially for someone who's serving as a caregiver. How did you process the enormity of all this one at a time?
I don't, I don't, I don't know, man. Took a lot of dread. I don't know. I don't know. I was fearful. I mean, you hold on to. I was so fearful, but also so hopeful. Um, and I guess that's a testament to my mom and my grandmother
Mm.
in a way, because I never, when mom came down being sick, I was afraid and really distraught and terrified. But at the same time, I had this hope in me, that this faith in me that there was no possible way on God's green earth that it would take her. And so I never really, and my mom taught us to be that way, hopeful
Mm.
and faithful, and the good things to come. And so, though she was fighting and struggling, it was really hard to go through all that. There was always this like undying level of knowing that she wouldn't go,
Yeah.
and but she did, obviously. But so there was some kind of light in that whole struggle that kept us in a pretty happy place, and on a day-to-day level with each other. And it was, I don't know how the hell we processed it, man. It was a lot. It was a lot. Still is a lot.
Sure.
It's never really goes away, and it's a weird. You ask all these questions, you get angry. You get angry at God. You get angry at everything, and then you got to deal with that anger, and you got to deal with guilt, and you got to deal with so much. It's hard to put the. You can't really put that hat on anyone who hasn't had to wear it before. But
Right.
quite a hat to wear, and it changes you. And it's weird in some ways. There's this weird. There's like some kind of symphony to my experience with mom and grand, because they were best friends, and they were really really tight. Like,
Mm.
I have video footage of them just dancing around in the living room together, and like, just, it's funny, really funny people, and really joyous. And my grandmother had gone through a lot in her life. She had widowed 3 times. She had miscarried many children. She had lost so many people and so many loved ones in her life, and then she lost her memory of life. And in some way, that was a blessing, because if she didn't, she would have had to watch her best friend and her daughter
Mm.
fight all the way through stage 4 cancer. There's like this weird circle there that I think on a lot, where it's like a cycle, like life in general. It's just like a cycle.
It's
So there's something there. It's not all pain and hurt and tragedy. This some hands washing the other hand. At least in this case, there's like this silver lining going on at times, where it's out of your control, and you love these humans so much. These people you love, they're your home, they're your planet, they're what you literally come from. But in the same way, the way that it all timed out was in some way merciful to my grandmother.
It's interesting to hear you talk about that, because I know in our lives, when it seems like things are starting to pigpile on you emotionally. I mean, your brain can take you in so many different ways. Sometimes they're not that great. Sometimes they're hard to get out of. But it's interesting to hear you talk about hope and optimism. That you're talking about people that you love who are filled with life and optimism in their own life, and it sounds like there's a part of that also gets passed on to you, and maybe that's the saving grace of all of it. Maybe that's the lifeline of this kind of stuff, because we all go through major changes in life, when grief and tragedy and sadness are appear to be the dominant emotions we're feeling. But when you have that sense of optimism, things are going to get better, and you can find ways of making things that make you happy or fulfill you in some way. That's like that life preserver that I think God or whatever throws for people to grab onto when it comes to difficult times like this.
I think so. And then you can share that with others and throw them a life preserver too.
When you write these songs, when you get to the point where you say, okay, now it's time to get this out of me through music, through lyrics, through whatever it may be, is it a matter of do you seek those songs out? Do you find that they come to you? Is there a balance somewhere in between? I mean, as you're trying to sort through all of this stuff on a lot of different levels, emotionally and spiritually or what have you, where were these songs coming from? Were they presenting themselves, or were you like, nope, today's the day I'm going to grab a guitar and try to work something out?
They're presenting themselves. That's kind of always been the way for me. A melody will come to me sometimes, and I'll voice memo a melody, and from there I'll sit down. Once I have enough of them, I'll sit down, or maybe not. Maybe I just have a couple, but I'll sit down on a park bench somewhere and just open myself up, and it just floods out. It comes to me as fast as if I was copying it off of another sheet of paper, basically.
Wow.
And then it's done. So and I might edit something because it sings better, something like that, or it might just roll off the tongue better, just like technical things. But never really any meaning or anything meaningful gets cut or edited. They just happen. It's like I just catch them out of thin air, and I wonder. I think about it all the time. It's like, is it a muse? Is it the angels? Is it your subconscious? Is it? I'm not sure what it is. It feels deeply personal, all the while feeling like completely alien in origin of how it got here in the first place. But a lot of times I don't know what the songs are even about. I mean, almost all the time, every time, really. And then I have to read them because folks will ask me what they're about. So I have to read them and try to get an idea of what they're about. I know what they make me feel and what images they present in my mind. So to me, they mean something. So I can say after a while, like, this song definitely means this to me, and this is what this is about. And sometimes they're very mysterious, and I couldn't quite tell. I feel like a liar telling someone what the song's about because I don't really know what's going on here. It's really fun. You hope you never lose it.
Yeah.
But I've been, I don't know. I feel like if you acknowledge that thing, whatever that thing is, you have people get a million names for it, but I think so long as you acknowledge it, that's there. I think that will always flow too. It's like ideas want to exist. The stuff wants to be out, and emotionally, it wants to be out of me, and it definitely is good medicine. It feels like it's coming from somewhere else, but at the same time, it feels like something that needed to come out of me as well. So it's like wherever it's coming from is very much serving my own soul in that way to help me get through my life. And if I didn't have it, when I don't exercise that.
I've spoken to a lot of songwriters who experience something similar to what you're talking about, that it happens outside of them. It happens at times when they really don't want to be writing a song. It happens like the worst possible times, but yet it has to happen. And for some people, and I don't know if you experience this, that once it begins, you can't just walk away from it. It's like you have to see this through to the end. Yeah. Otherwise you run the risk of losing that moment. Do you find that to be true for you when you write?
Yep. 100%. Yep. Definitely.
What a pain in the ass that must be.
Lucky in my case, lucky for me, it's very quick, but it still does have to be finished once it starts. No thought can get in the way of it.
Yep.
I've taught. It's really weird and hypocritical in a way, and funny to me. But I've taught lessons. I've taught songwriting lessons in my life to people of all ages, and though I feel like that's kind of phony because I feel like a catcher more than a writer. But one thing I do tell them is like always write that bad line if it comes down when it's coming down the page and it's like, oh, I don't know about that, and you want to punch on the brakes and stop. Whatever you do, don't stop. Like never ever. Once it starts to flow, let it flow until it stops.
Yeah.
Wait till the line is dry, and that one line you thought was not good in that brief flash of a moment where you doubted what was happening, sometimes actually is pretty decent or is the line that should be there. And worst case scenario, you could always just put a different line in from there. But it's best to let them. And God, you don't want to be around someone who's doing this either. Like if your loved one is doing this, you'll feel very small.
Yeah.
So like you can't hear what you're saying. Like I can't hear what anyone's saying to me when I'm doing this.
I had a guest a while back that was explaining it like, I made myself a sandwich. I was going to have some lunch. I was about to eat the sandwich. And I said, wait a minute, something's coming to me. Let me grab my guitar. He said, I was 6 hours later. The sandwich wasn't touched. I had to throw it away. It got stale. It went rancid. But the song, wound up being, worth it in the end. I just want to make myself a second sandwich. But it's like, that's the kind of interruption that sometimes happen. But nevertheless, when you're writing songs with this much, emotion and personal reflectiveness, because I'm really what a lot of these songs are all about. It sounds like this is something that is ultimately very therapeutic for you as just an individual to be able to have that opportunity to write about these things, whether they start off that way or end that way. The process of this is a form of therapy for you.
Yes. Yeah. It's why I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd still be alive if it wasn't for this process. I've tried to turn it off before, and those are the most dangerous times of my life. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. It's like therapy for me, for sure. It's like spiritual practice in a way too. It's definitely what keeps me going. If I'm not writing and creating and working towards something, I am not well, and I need to do it, and I need to perform it live every day. I realized this was really my medicine when I was living in the time I spent in Philly. I was driving a cab down there and playing shows here and there, but mostly just driving a cab. And all I wanted to do was just sing every day, and I didn't care to where, to whom. It didn't matter anymore. And something flipped in me, and I was like, how can I just sing songs every day and have a roof and have a warm bed? And I thought, well, I can go busk in Europe and just stay in hostels, and that's what my life will be from now on. That's the end.
And you did that.
And I did that. Yeah, and I did that. That's when I realized, like, for sure, I was like, this can't stop. Whatever form it takes, whether it's busking or touring or it's amazing how many years it took me to come to this conclusion. This is ridiculous. Stupid. It's the fool. I'm a fool.
No.
But yeah, it took a long time, but it finally clicked. And then when I hit the streets, I'd never been happier ever. I'd never been more mentally well. Going through those songs that are that personal every day, it's like talking about them again. It's like living those moments again. And they may hurt a little bit less, and maybe they don't. But then sharing them with other people too, really, that adds another whole level. It's therapy for other people too. It seems like I've played shows where people come up to me and they're in tears and they want to give me a hug. And I played a show in Sheffield, England this year, and this fellow's partner was so emotional she couldn't turn off the waterworks. She just couldn't stop crying, and they came outside after the show and like wanted to give me a hug and thank me for everything. And then he reached in his pocket and pulled out this coin, and it was like his lucky coin that he had been carrying for like 25 years or something. And he's like, I want you to take this coin. I've been carrying it in my pocket for 25, stuff like that. So it's like a calling. It's like therapy and also a calling in a way. Like it's like service that I just have to do it for myself and for those moments, even if it's not there wasn't 100 people in there. There wasn't fucking 15 people. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can swear. There wasn't, 15 people in the room that night. It was not a show someone would call a successful show. It's like one of the shows that will make you sad. Like, oh man, there's nobody in here or whatever. But even those little moments, I enjoy them regardless. Like this, it's like medicine for me. So if there's nobody there, I'm still in this completely different place.
I read an interview that you had done, talking about playing, these songs live, and you talk about the reaction that these songs are getting from people. And what you had talked about was the reaction that was kind of very similar to my own. Is when it took me only seconds to just stop me in my tracks and hear the emotion that was coming out of you. And you talked about how you would play, here's a new song from my new record, and most people would go to the bathroom or grab a beer or something like that. For these people, they were just stuck in their seats and unable to move. They were like that moved by what you were doing. As someone who is drawing that out of people, one, it's an incredible gift, but on the other hand, it's also a pretty big responsibility to want to produce that night after night. And I don't know while it's important for you, obviously, because you're definitely talking about how validating it is. I wonder how difficult it is to sustain all of that over a period of time. Do you find that to be difficult to do it, like to kind of dig into that night after night?
Yes, very much. Yeah, absolutely. I certainly go there.
Yeah.
I go there all the way every time. I've never not been able to do that. So it's voluntary, but an involuntary check-in. I'm checking into this room, and it is really hard to go into that room every day. Just played 32 dates. A few fell through because I had car trouble, but 30 dates or so on this last tour. It was about 6 weeks, 30 shows or so. And there was moments where I'd get through the first song and I'd go to take a sip of water and just feel like I was deflated balloon. It's just so heavy and it takes so much out of you. And by the end of the set, sometimes you drive into it and you're into the set and you're right there and you're just buzzing. Sometimes you finish the first song and you feel like you want to go lie in bed for a week. But usually by the end, I always feel pretty energized for the next one.
When you get that reaction from the crowd, though, when you're able to extract that from people who are watching it, does that change your attitude about what you've done? Or do you still feel the pain of the song, or do you feel like, oh my God, I can't believe, what a blessing it was to be able to get people to connect like this?
Definitely that. Yeah, I feel the transformation every night. That's the big payoff, really, and that's what keeps me. That's why I can go again and go again. I could, though it's really difficult. I really think I could play a show 300 days of the year. It's my favorite thing in the world to do, though it's hard. And to feel that transition of energy, to see that transform in real time is always. I always walk out of wherever I just played feeling like, how am I going to be able to sleep tonight? Because I'm so electrified and turned up from this whole energy transfer. Basically, it's kind of how I look at it most of the time.
You talked earlier about that period of time when you left Maine and you head to Philadelphia and then eventually to Europe. Were you searching for something in that? What was it that made you want to leave Maine and do this elsewhere? Was it just you needed to get away, or were you trying to connect with something else? What was it that made you want to leave?
I think I had definitely gone very stagnant up here. I grew up in Central Maine, and that's where I was living at the time, and I've never been very comfortable there. So that was part of it. Another part of it was trying to get back onto the musical map again and just like start playing more music again. Another part of it was like financial struggle. I was kind of priced out of being in Maine. I couldn't really afford to live here anymore. I was going through some mental health struggles at the time. I was diagnosed, I'm pretty public about this these days, but I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder 2 around that time. And that kind of changed how I looked at life, because I never knew the storm had a name that I was in. And it took a while. It took a lot of processing for me to identify what was the illness and what was myself. And then from there, I was able to face music again and accept that that's why I'm here, and that's my purpose and my responsibility. And I just started living based on science. Like, does this music have an effect on humans? Yes. Does it seem to be beneficial to them and to you? Yes. Then all those other voices and all that other darkness can now go to sleep. So I thought Philly could be a good place to try to start that again. I'm friends with a band down there called Friendship, who's like some buddies of mine, and I knew a few of those guys, and my best friend lived down there. And but I was kind of searching, and I still wasn't even really playing Jacob Augustine music that much then either. I had a post-punk project called Pink Surf that I was doing. So I still hadn't come all the way back full circle to this music either. I was still in denial basically. And so yeah, I was searching for something for sure. And I was also being kind of ushered around too because of our economy and I've gone without home a lot, over the years, and it just got to a point where it's like, hey, guy who grew up in Maine, and this is kind of like your place where you both might belong in a way, or at least you can, was your home. This is your home. You can't be here anymore. Sorry, you're too poor to be here. And, so there's that whole aspect of it too. It's like a lot of different moving parts, but definitely trying to get back onto the track of why I'm alive. And I think the reason why I was born in this planet
Well,
is to do this.
being a Massachusetts guy and spending far more time at, say, like the Kittery outlets than I wanted to, I can understand occasionally wanting to get out of Maine as fast as possible. I've been in that situation. But at what point and what was it that made you want to leave Europe and come back to the States? What was there something that precipitated that, or was it just time?
I mean, I guess so. The busking was working kind of okay, but it wasn't working great. It was, I was getting by barely, but I came back to the States because I just had an offer for a couple shows. I got an offer to open for Lady Lamb on a farm in Maine, and she's my buddy, and I got a residency on Peaks Island up here in Maine to like teach lessons for a week and then play a show at the end of the week, and like the money was like good for both of those things. It was worth flying back here, so the money talked, I guess, and I was like, well, I can't afford to not go play these shows, so I came back to play them. And then when I played the show with Lady Lamb, there was a librarian there, and she asked me to play her library, and I played her library a few weeks later. And then Nate Krenkel from Team Love Records came to that show to see me play, and then they decided to put out I Love You Forever, and that's kind of kept me here from there. I did go back. Actually, it didn't keep me here. It kept me here until about December, and then I went to Italy, and because I stay with my some friends of mine there, and here in Maine when I'm floating around. I don't technically have a place of residence, but so I did jump back there for a little while, and I did a tour of the UK earlier this year, and then came back here again. So I don't really live. I kind of live in different spots depending on what's going on. So at the moment, I'm not really sure what I'll continue to do. If we can get some more shows going, there's a tour coming up in August with the band, and then after that, if more shows happen in the States, I'll stay here longer, and if not, maybe I'll jump back over the pond and play some more shows over there. But really just chasing the shows at this point.
I was looking at the tour that you just finished, and having only discovered the new record in the last couple of weeks, I kicked myself because I missed your show in East Hampton, Mass, not that long ago. I was like, God damn, how the fuck did I miss that one? But I mean, to know that you're going to go back out, that's great. And I think anyone that, like I said, who takes the time to listen to what you've done would be doing themselves a real special treat to go see it done live and to see.
Thank you.
And to see the depth of all this. Like I said, I mean, it is a rare thing when you hear an artist connect with such powerful emotions and do it in a sincere and truthful way without any sort of contrivance at all. It's like, I mean, when I hear you sing, I'm like, Jesus, this guy, he means it. he's not bullshitting around. He's been through some stuff, and I just absolutely I absolutely adore the record. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Mike. It means the world to me for you to say that.
Well,
I appreciate it.
It's
I appreciate it.
I'm being sincere about it. But are you still writing music now? I mean, what I mean, how are the music? If you're writing now, is there is it still the same tone of what you're dealing with, or do you find that because you've gone through this stuff and have maybe sorted through some of the pain that you were dealing with, that it's taken a different turn now, or still not yet?
It tends to change. I'm a pretty prolific writer, so I'm quite a bit ahead at the moment. We have actually the Bones. Whether we release it next or not is another story, but we have the Bones down for a whole album already for the next one. Songs are written, everything's recorded. We just have to do bells and whistles and stuff.
That's great.
We recorded it last autumn. But the feel of it is way different, and that's usually the case for me. Like, it's pretty grandiose departures, not really intentional, but I think I just naturally the dial flips to something different for me to stay interested in some way. But it feels a lot lighter to me, and I'm like not really. I like it on some days. I really like it, and on other days I'm like, this is not the move for the next thing. A lot of it has to do, I think, with "I Love You Forever," because it's such a, it's taken me a while to process that album as a whole, and it's pretty demanding. So it's really heavy, really heavy,
real heavy.
When I listen to it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
But you lived it. That's the thing. You lived it. I mean, it's coming right from you. That's the important and beautiful part of it.
Yeah, for sure, sure. Yeah, and I'm honored to be that guy. And everything that's coming after this, it also, it definitely comes from the heart. I'm not sure. That's the only way I can really do it anyway. But it's a little more. I don't know. I don't want to really give any spoilers because I'm not sure what the next album will be. But we have one recorded anyway, and I'm writing for the third one, the one that comes after. I'm kind of treating "I Love You Forever" as my first record. I've put out a lot of records, but this is kind of like the number one where I finally landed where I wanted to, and I'm proud of it as a whole. I'm like, okay, this is my first real work, and then everything from there is from number ones. But number three is definitely pretty heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting back into there again. It's like the one I just recorded is tentatively called National Blue Velvet, and it is a mourning record. Like, it's a lot of, I wrote this record when Mom was struggling and when we were kind of in this thing, and then I wrote the songs from National Blue Velvet over the course of years that followed that, and a lot of it still touches back to some of the same themes of loss and mourning, and this is kind of like life carrying on kind of vibes, but the melodies they're not as morose. It's not as. It's a little more country and a little more. I don't know.
Well, when the Jacob Augustine album of bouncy Broadway show tunes comes out, you let me know.
I wonder. We might get there. We may get there someday.
Maybe down the road. Maybe not right away, but that's something you could kick around for a while.
Yeah.
Jacob, I appreciate the time today. Like I said, I am absolutely stunned by the record, and you should be very proud of what you've accomplished. It is a very rare feat to see somebody come up with something that's just so damn powerful and honest. And I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. This
Absolutely.
has been a wonderful talking to you. I've been doing quite a few of these lately, and this was a real pleasure to speak with you, man.
Thank you, Jacob. You have a good day. Take care now.
You too, brother.
All right.
Cheers, man.
Bye-bye. The name of Jacob Augustine's new record is called "I'll Love You Forever." It is an amazing piece of work. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can email me at bax@rock102.com. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks to Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee for their support. But most of all, thanks to you for listening to Baxie's Musical Podcast.